A common phrase that suggests a better future and a better you is recreating yourself. But how many really understand how deep it goes? How many people really start on this life-changing journey? We are on the edge of the year 2025. So it's time for a deep awakening. A comprehensive guide to recreating yourself in 2025 is provided here. The Stoic philosophy, as well as that of other interesting philosophers, is used in this exploration. Imagine a life where other people's opinions don't affect you, and the noise of society doesn't matter. The art of becoming your truest self is what we'll talk about today. It's not about pretending, it's about freedom, where you become the center of your own world and don't get distracted by what's going on around you in this world. People don't try to be happy, it's just they're ready to be realized. But if you really want to transform, you have to look inside yourself and understand the profound principles that govern true change. The art of Stoic recreation is discussed here before you dismiss ancient philosophy. Think about this. Can you really recreate yourself if you haven't understood the timeless principles that govern human transformation? Learn why Stoic wisdom and self-mastery are the foundation of authentic recreation. Now that you have a stronger sense of what's possible, let's talk about one of the deepest human quests, finding your own sense of purpose in a world full of chaos. An anchoring purpose can help you see the way. It's not about finding meaning, it's about creating it, making a life so full that every breath is a reflection of who you are becoming. The essence of our journey is Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that is still incredibly relevant today. Learn about the Stoics' idea of the good life, which is defined by virtue, wisdom, and tranquility, rather than by external validation. A life in which adversity transforms you rather than breaking you as you start a new year. Remember that recreation isn't about changing how you look, but about transforming who you are at your core. It's about discovering the potential that lies hidden within you, reconnecting with your authentic self, and then radiating that energy out into the world. The year 2025 is approaching, and it presents a fresh canvas. The real question is not whether you should change, but whether you are ready to meet your higher self. Don't be afraid to take the leap. Let's embark on a journey together to achieve unmatched growth, wisdom, and enlightenment. If you found value in what we've discussed so far and want to continue this transformative journey with us, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell, because we're just getting started on this path of Stoic wisdom and self-recreation. Your future self will thank you for making this commitment to growth. Today, the foundation of Stoic recreation begins with understanding the dichotomy of control, one of the most powerful concepts ever developed. For human flourishing, Epictetus, a philosopher who understood suffering having been born a slave, wrote beautifully about this principle in his Enchiridion. He said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not within our power. Our opinions, judgments, desires, and actions are within our power. Not within our power are our body, property, reputation, position. And in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." This fundamental distinction tells us to focus our attention, energy, and emotions on the aspects of our lives that we can directly influence, and to practice detachment from everything else. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. Instead, it means we identify what truly deserves our mental and emotional investment. It's about choosing not to be disturbed by the external circumstances of life, while maintaining our inner peace and aligning ourselves with what we can actually control. When you truly grasp this concept, your entire approach to life transforms. You stop wasting energy on things beyond your influence and channel all your power into areas where you can make a real difference. Marcus Aurelius exemplified this principle throughout his reign as Roman emperor. Despite holding immense external power, he consistently reminded himself in his meditations that true control comes from within. He wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This perspective allows you to navigate life's inevitable challenges with grace and composure. Instead of being tossed around by external circumstances, you become like a rock in a turbulent sea, unmoved by the chaos around you. The second pillar of Stoic recreation involves embracing the discipline of desire, which fundamentally reshapes your relationship with wanting and attachment. The ancient Stoics understood that our suffering often stems not from what happens to us, but from our excessive attachment to outcomes we cannot guarantee. When you practice the discipline of desire, you learn to prefer what happens rather than demanding that events conform to your wishes. This might sound passive, but it's actually incredibly empowering, because it places your happiness and peace of mind entirely within your control. Seneca illustrated this beautifully when he wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so wants nothing." This discipline teaches you to hold your goals and ambitions lightly, working diligently toward them, while remaining emotionally unattached to specific results. You pursue excellence not because you need external validation, but because the pursuit itself aligns with your character and values. When you achieve this state, you discover a profound freedom, the freedom from the tyranny of outcomes that you cannot control. You still work hard and pursue meaningful objectives, but your inner peace no longer depends on achieving them exactly as you envision. This creates space for genuine contentment and allows you to appreciate whatever unfolds in your life, developing emotional resilience. Through Stoic practices forms the third cornerstone of personal recreation, and perhaps represents the most practical application of these ancient teachings. The Stoics developed sophisticated techniques for managing difficult emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding their nature and responding to them wisely. When anger arises, instead of being consumed by it, you can apply Seneca's teaching that there is no more stupefying thing than anger, nothing more bent on its own strength. By recognizing anger as a temporary mental state that clouds judgment, you can observe it without being controlled by it. The practice involves pausing when strong emotions emerge, asking yourself whether your emotional response serves any constructive purpose, and then choosing your reaction based on reason rather than impulse. This doesn't mean becoming emotionally numb. Rather, it means developing the capacity to feel deeply while maintaining your ability to think clearly and act wisely. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this when he wrote, "You have power over your mind. Not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This emotional mastery becomes particularly valuable during life's inevitable setbacks and disappointments. Instead of being derailed by temporary failures or unexpected challenges, you maintain your equilibrium and continue moving forward with purpose. The goal isn't to eliminate difficult emotions, but to develop such a strong inner foundation that external circumstances cannot destabilize your core sense of self and direction. The fourth principle focuses on cultivating virtue as the highest good, which fundamentally reorients your understanding of success and achievement. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, and considered the development of these qualities as the only true measure of a life well lived. This perspective radically differs from modern society's emphasis on external markers of success, like wealth status or social media following. When you commit to virtue as your primary objective, you evaluate your decisions and actions based on whether they align with these timeless principles rather than whether they produce immediate pleasures or social approval. Wisdom involves continuously learning, developing sound judgment, and making decisions based on truth rather than convenience. Justice means treating others fairly, contributing positively to your community, and standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Courage encompasses not just physical bravery, but the moral courage to live according to your values, despite social pressure or personal cost. Temperance involves self-discipline in all areas of life, managing your appetites and impulses in service of your long-term well-being and character development. When you orient your life around these virtues, you discover that external circumstances lose much of their power to disturb your peace. You measure your progress not by what you accumulate or achieve, but by who you become in the process. This creates a stable foundation for lasting satisfaction, because virtue, unlike external possessions or accomplishments, can never be taken away from you by circumstances beyond your control. The practice of negative visualization represents the fifth transformative element of Stoic recreation and offers a counterintuitive path to greater appreciation and resilience. This technique involves regularly imagining the loss of things you value, not to become pessimistic, but to develop gratitude for what you currently have and emotional preparation for life's inevitable changes. Seneca advocated this practice, writing, "What is grief but an opinion by mentally rehearsing potential losses, whether of relationships, health opportunities, or possessions? You accomplish several important objectives. First, you cultivate deep appreciation for present circumstances that you might otherwise take for granted. Second, you build emotional resilience by familiarizing yourself with potential challenges before they occur. Third, you reduce the shock and devastation that often accompany unexpected losses when you regularly contemplate the temporary nature of everything in your life. You naturally develop a healthier relationship with attachment. You love deeply and care genuinely, while maintaining awareness that all external things are temporary. This practice doesn't make you cold or indifferent. Instead, it helps you cherish what you have more fully while preparing you to face difficulties with greater composure. The exercise of imagining your own mortality proves particularly powerful in clarifying your priorities and motivating meaningful action. When you truly internalize that your time is limited, you naturally focus on what matters most and waste less energy on trivial concerns or conflicts. Implementing daily Stoic routines forms the sixth foundation for sustainable personal transformation, because philosophical insights only create lasting change when translated into consistent practices. Marcus Aurelius began each day with morning reflections, preparing his mind for the challenges ahead, and ended with evening reviews, examining his thoughts, actions, and responses throughout the day. You can adapt this approach by establishing morning rituals that center your mind on Stoic principles, perhaps reading a brief passage from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca, and setting intentions for how you want to embody virtue throughout the day. The evening reflection involves honest self-examination, asking questions like, did I respond to difficulties with wisdom and composure? Today, did I focus my energy on things within my control? Did I treat others with justice and kindness? Where did I fall short of my ideals? And how can I improve tomorrow? This daily practice of reflection and intention setting creates a feedback loop that accelerates your personal development. You become increasingly aware of your patterns, reactions, and growth areas, while simultaneously reinforcing your commitment to Stoic principles. The key lies in consistency rather than perfection. Even 5 minutes of morning reflection and evening review can produce significant results over time, as these practices gradually reshape your default responses to life's challenges and opportunities. The seventh element involves redefining your relationship with external validation and social expectations, which represents one of the most liberating aspects of Stoic recreation. Modern society constantly bombards you with messages about how you should look, what you should achieve, who you should become, and how others should perceive you. The Stoics offer a radical alternative. They suggest that your worth comes not from external approval, but from your character and the quality of your choices. Epictetus taught that you are an actor in a play which is as the playwright wants it to be. If short, then short. If long, then long. If he wants you to play a poor man, play even that role skillfully. And similarly, if a cripple or a public official or a private citizen. This perspective liberates you from the exhausting attempt to control how others perceive you and allows you to focus entirely on playing your role with excellence regardless of external circumstances. When you stop seeking validation from others, you discover an incredible freedom to pursue paths that genuinely align with your values and interests. Rather than following socially prescribed formulas for success, you might choose a career that provides meaning over one that impresses others. You might prioritize relationships that offer genuine connection over those that enhance your social status. You might pursue interests and hobbies that bring you joy rather than those that generate social media. Likes this shift from external to internal validation creates space for authentic self-expression and significantly reduces anxiety, stress, and the constant feeling that you're not measuring up to arbitrary standards. Building mental toughness through voluntary discomfort constitutes the 8th principle of Stoic recreation and involves deliberately exposing yourself to minor hardships to develop resilience and appreciate basic comforts. The Stoics regularly practiced exercises like sleeping on hard surfaces, eating simple foods, taking cold baths, or walking in harsh weather, not as punishment, but as training for both body and mind. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, is this the condition that I feared? These practices serve multiple purposes. They reduce your dependence on comfort and luxury, making you more adaptable to changing circumstances. They build confidence in your ability to handle difficulties. They increase gratitude for ordinary pleasures that you might otherwise take for granted, and they strengthen your willpower and self-discipline. When you voluntarily choose temporary discomfort, you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever life presents. You no longer fear minor inconveniences or changes in your circumstances because you've practiced adapting to challenges in controlled settings. This mental toughness translates into greater resilience during unexpected difficulties and increased confidence in your ability to navigate whatever obstacles arise. Modern applications might include taking cold showers, exercising in uncomfortable weather, eating simple meals for a day, walking instead of driving when possible, or sleeping without excessive comfort. For a night, the key lies in choosing challenges that stretch your comfort zone without causing harm, building your capacity to remain calm and composed regardless of external conditions. The 9th foundation involves mastering the art of present moment awareness, which forms the cornerstone of Stoic peace and effectiveness. The ancient Stoics understood that anxiety comes from projecting into an uncertain future, while depression often stems from dwelling on an unchangeable past. The only moment where you have actual power to think, choose and act is right now. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to focus on the present, writing, "Confine yourself to the present." This practice involves training your attention to remain anchored in current reality rather than getting lost in mental stories about what might happen or what has already occurred. When your mind wanders to future worries, you gently redirect it to what you can do right now. When it drifts to past regrets or resentments, you bring it back to present opportunities and responsibilities. This doesn't mean ignoring the future or failing to learn from the past. Rather, it means engaging with both. From a centered present moment perspective, you plan for the future and learn from the past, but you don't allow either to steal your peace or effectiveness in the current moment. Developing present moment awareness requires consistent practice. You might use techniques like focusing on your breath, paying attention to physical sensations, observing your thoughts, without getting caught up in them, or fully engaging with whatever activity you're currently performing, whether it's eating, walking, working, or conversing with others. The goal is to develop such familiarity with present moment awareness that it becomes your default state rather than something you have to consciously create. The 10th principle centers on developing a philosophical perspective toward death, which paradoxically enhances your appreciation for life and clarifies your priorities. The Stoics regularly contemplated mortality, not out of morbidity, but as a tool for wisdom and motivation. Seneca wrote, Death is not the greatest of evils. It is only the fear of death that is the greatest evil when you truly accept the reality of your finite existence. Several profound shifts occur. First, you stop postponing important conversations, relationships, and experiences. Second, you focus your energy on what genuinely matters rather than getting caught up in trivial concerns. Third, you develop greater courage because the worst thing that can happen, losing your life, is something you've already accepted as natural and inevitable. Fourth, you find greater peace with uncertainty because you've made friends with the ultimate uncertainty. This practice doesn't involve obsessing about death, but rather using mortality as a teacher that helps you live more fully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live by keeping your mortality in gentle awareness. You're motivated to express love, pursue meaningful goals, take reasonable risks, and contribute positively to the world. While you have the opportunity, this perspective helps you navigate daily frustrations with greater equanimity because you recognize them as minor inconveniences in the context of your brief but precious existence." Cultivating wisdom through continuous learning represents the 11th element of Stoic recreation and acknowledges that personal growth never ends regardless of your age or current level of understanding. The Stoics viewed themselves as perpetual students, always seeking to deepen their knowledge, improve their judgment, and refine their character. Epictetus taught that it's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. This humility toward learning keeps you open to new insights, experiences, and perspectives that can enhance your wisdom and effectiveness. When you commit to lifelong learning, you remain mentally flexible and adaptable rather than becoming rigid in your thinking or attached to outdated beliefs. You actively seek out books, conversations, experiences, and challenges that expand your understanding of yourself and the world. This learning encompasses both practical skills that enhance your capabilities and philosophical insights that deepen your wisdom. You might study history to learn from past human experiences, read literature to understand different perspectives, explore science to appreciate the natural world, or engage in meaningful conversations with people whose backgrounds differ from your own. The key lies in approaching learning with genuine curiosity and openness, rather than trying to confirm what you already believe. This intellectual humility combined with persistent curiosity keeps your mind sharp and your character growing throughout your entire life, creating a foundation for continuous personal evolution and contribution. The final principle involves serving something greater than yourself, which provides ultimate meaning and context for all your personal development efforts. The Stoics understood that true fulfillment comes not from self-focused pursuits, but from contributing to the common good and playing your part in the larger human story. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This service orientation doesn't require grand gestures or public recognition. It can manifest through your profession, relationships, parenting, volunteer work, creative contributions, or simply being a positive presence in daily interactions. The key lies in recognizing that your individual flourishing connects to and contributes to the well-being of others when you orient your life around service. Several benefits emerge. First, you find deeper meaning in your daily activities because they connect to purposes beyond your immediate self-interest. Second, you develop greater resilience during personal difficulties because you maintain perspective on your role in larger contexts. Third, you experience more genuine satisfaction because service naturally generates feelings of contribution and significance. Fourth, you build stronger relationships because others recognize your genuine care for their well-being rather than just personal advancement. This service orientation doesn't mean neglecting your own needs or development. Rather, it means understanding that your personal growth serves not just yourself, but everyone whose life you touch. By becoming more wise, patient, courageous, and just, you contribute to creating a better world for everyone around you. These 12 principles of Stoic recreation offer a comprehensive framework for transforming yourself in 2025 and beyond. But remember that reading about these concepts differs vastly from living them. The real transformation occurs through consistent daily practice, starting with small, manageable steps that gradually reshape your habits, thoughts, and responses. You don't need to master everything immediately. Instead, choose one or two principles that resonate most strongly with you and begin incorporating them into your daily routine. Perhaps you start with morning reflections and evening reviews, or maybe you focus on practicing the dichotomy of control in challenging situations. The key lies in consistent application, rather than perfect execution. As you develop familiarity with these practices, you'll naturally find opportunities to integrate additional principles, creating a comprehensive approach to personal development that honors both ancient wisdom and modern life. The Stoics understood that becoming your best self requires patience, dedication, and self-compassion, as you inevitably encounter setbacks and challenges along the way. What matters most is not perfection, but persistence, not immediate transformation, but consistent growth in the direction of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace as you embark on this journey of Stoic recreation. Remember that you're joining a tradition that spans over 2,000 years of human wisdom and experience. You are not alone in this pursuit of excellence and meaning. The principles that guided Marcus Aurelius through the challenges of leadership, that helped Epictetus find freedom despite slavery, and that enabled Seneca to maintain wisdom despite wealth and power, are available to guide your own transformation in 2025 and beyond. The question isn't whether these principles work. They've been tested by countless individuals across cultures and centuries. The question is whether you're ready to commit to the daily practice that brings them to life in your own experience, your future self. The person you're capable of becoming through dedicated practice of these Stoic principles is waiting for you to begin this journey today.